Hello dear friend. Welcome to my audio storytelling channel. Comments number 1 if you are ready to dive into the story, and hit the like button if you are not ready to start. Sit back and join me on this emotional roller coaster. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next chapter. Let's get started. My name is Evelyn, and at 64 years old, I never imagined I'd find myself here, ready to share the most complicated, forbidden night of my life. It all started innocently enough, with the hope of not spending my birthday alone. Little did I know that evening would bring so much more. Feelings, emotions, and desires I thought were long buried. The day everything changed. It all began with Nathaniel, Jonathan's stepson, now 28 years old. Confident, charismatic, and someone who could easily captivate any room. He was someone I had known for years. But the moment Jonathan passed away, Nathaniel started disappearing from my life. He'd visit sometimes, stay for days, but then 2 years ago he just vanished. I tried to push the memories of him aside, to forget the moments we shared, but I couldn't. And then one day he showed up at my door again. Nathaniel, I asked, shocked to see him standing there. I came to check some old files in the garage, he said, his voice casual, but I knew it wasn't just about that. Nathaniel's gaze was the same as it had always been, intense, filled with emotions I thought I had suppressed for years. It stirred something deep inside me that I wasn't prepared to face. As I followed him into the garage, I saw it. A gramophone, the one I had always wanted, sitting in the middle of the room, with my favorite record spinning on it. He hadn't come back for the documents. He had come back for me. My heart raced as I realized the visit wasn't just a friendly gesture. Later that evening, Nathaniel returned, this time with a cake in hand. His smile was still there, but it carried something deeper now. Something I couldn't ignore. I didn't want you to spend your birthday alone, Evelyn, he said, his words sinking deep into my chest. That moment I understood. This wasn't about a simple birthday celebration. This was something far more significant, and I was about to find out just how much Nathaniel had been hiding all these years. The pull between us that had always been there was about to resurface, and everything was about to change. As I opened the door to Nathaniel that evening, I wasn't prepared for what awaited me. He stood there, holding a small cake, dressed sharply in a suit that contrasted sharply with the casual, unassuming man I remembered. His smile was different this time. More meaningful, more intense. "Happy birthday, Evelyn," he said warmly, his voice filling the air around us. I was stunned. He hadn't forgotten my birthday after all these years. For the first time in a long time, someone cared enough to celebrate with me, to make me feel special. "I didn't want you to spend your 64th birthday alone," he added, stepping into the living room, placing the cake on the coffee table. I barely knew what to say. The weight of his words hung in the air, leaving me speechless. There was so much emotion behind them, and the intensity of his gaze unsettled me in ways I couldn't explain. He took a step closer, and for a moment, the space between us felt charged. His presence was magnetic, pulling me in, and I felt a wave of excitement rush through me. Something was different about him, more mature, more self-assured. I had known Nathaniel for years, but the man before me now was not the same person. "Let's make this night memorable," he said, his voice barely a whisper, as he reached out his hand toward me. "Go put on something nice. I want tonight to be special for you." I hesitated for a moment. I had never planned for a birthday like this. But his gaze, the way his eyes held mine, made it impossible to refuse. I nodded and walked upstairs, my heart racing with a mix of confusion and anticipation. As I entered my room, I caught sight of my wardrobe. The dress I hadn't worn in years caught my attention. It was black, simple yet elegant, and I couldn't help but remember how I used to feel when I wore it. It was a dress I had saved for special occasions, a dress that now seemed to hold an unspoken significance. I ran my fingers along the fabric, my mind racing with thoughts of Nathaniel. I couldn't deny the way he made me feel, alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. And yet, a sense of hesitation lingered, like a warning at the back of my mind. As I slipped the dress on, I couldn't help but look at myself in the mirror. Despite the years, I still looked good. The passage of time hadn't taken away everything. I studied my reflection, my shoulders still firm, my waist trim, and a small confident smile tugged at my lips. Maybe, just maybe, tonight would be a night I'd never forget. When I walked downstairs, the soft melody of my favorite song reached my ears. My heart skipped a beat. How did he know? I had never told him this detail. Yet, here it was, playing on the gramophone that Nathaniel had set up in the center of the living room. He turned to face me, his eyes lighting up with admiration. The look he gave me made me feel more beautiful than I had in years. How did you know? I asked, genuinely surprised. Nathaniel smiled, his gaze unwavering. I've been listening to you, Evelyn. Every little thing you've said, every passion you've shared. I've remembered it all. His words sent a warmth through me that I couldn't ignore. It had been so long since someone had really listened to me, really seen me. And in that moment, I realized Nathaniel wasn't just here for my birthday. He was here to show me something far more significant. This story is about to take a turn. If you're intrigued, make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications for more. Your support means the world. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment. As we sat down, the music filled the room, creating an atmosphere that was both intimate and overwhelming. Nathaniel's words and his presence were like a magnet, drawing me in, pulling me closer to him with each passing second. We began talking, but this was no ordinary conversation. It was filled with unspoken emotions, with things we had both kept hidden for far too long. The air between us grew thick with tension, as the connection we shared, one that had always been there, grew undeniable. Nathaniel's voice broke through the stillness, deep and full of emotion. Do you know why I didn't come back sooner, Evelyn? He asked, his eyes locking onto mine. My breath caught in my throat. What was he going to say? I've always been drawn to you, he admitted softly, but with a power that filled the space between us. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't help it. Every time I was near you, I wanted to run to you, but my mind kept telling me to stay away. His confession hit me like a tidal wave, and for a moment I was too stunned to speak. His words, his honesty, the intensity of his emotions, they stirred something inside me that I wasn't ready to face. But I couldn't deny it. There was a part of me that felt the same way. I had buried those feelings for years, thinking they were wrong, thinking they would fade away. But here they were, coming to the surface, too powerful to ignore. Nathaniel's words hung in the air like a heavy fog, his confession pulling me deeper into a storm of emotions I hadn't allowed myself to feel in years. His admission, his vulnerability, shattered the walls I'd so carefully built around myself. For the first time, I realized how much I had longed for something I thought I could never have. Something I thought was too dangerous to pursue. Evelyn, Nathaniel whispered, his voice low, his gaze never leaving mine. I've tried to fight it, but I can't anymore. I've spent years telling myself this is wrong, that I shouldn't feel this way about you. But I do. I've always felt this way. His words cut through the air like a knife, and I felt my breath catch in my throat. My heart was racing, pounding against my chest as I struggled to process everything he had just confessed. The pull between us, this attraction, this undeniable connection, had always been there, simmering beneath the surface. I had tried to bury it, to tell myself it was impossible, that we could never act on it. But now, standing in front of me, Nathaniel was no longer just the stepson of my late husband. He was a man who had grown into someone captivating, someone whose presence consumed me. And suddenly all the barriers I had put up seemed so fragile, so insignificant. I can't, I began, but the words faltered on my lips. I knew it was wrong. I knew that giving in to this desire would change everything between us. But even as I said it, a part of me didn't want to pull away. A part of me wanted to let go, to surrender to the feeling that had been growing inside me for so long. Nathaniel took a step closer, his eyes locked onto mine, intense and full of determination. You don't have to say anything, Evelyn, he said softly, his voice filled with urgency. I know this is dangerous. I know we shouldn't be doing this. But I can't fight this anymore. I can't pretend that I don't want you, that I don't need you. His hand reached for mine, gently brushing his fingers over my skin. The touch sent a shock of electricity through me, and my body responded before my mind could catch up. I could feel my resolve crumbling piece by piece. I can't help how I feel, Nathaniel continued, his voice low and raw. And I know you feel it too. The truth in his words hit me like a wave. I couldn't deny it any longer. The way my heart raced whenever he was near, the way my thoughts constantly drifted back to him, It was all too real, too undeniable. Without thinking, I closed the distance between us. My hands reached for his shoulders, pulling him closer to me. Our lips met in a kiss that was both gentle and hungry, a kiss that ignited every suppressed emotion inside me. For a moment, everything else disappeared. There was no past, no future. Just the heat between us, the raw intensity of the connection that had always been there. As our kiss deepened, everything around me seemed to blur. The world outside the room ceased to exist. There was only Nathaniel and me, caught in the gravity of our desire. But as the kiss broke, the reality of what we were doing hit me like a slap to the face. I pulled back, my breath shallow, my chest rising and falling rapidly. "This is wrong," I whispered, my voice trembling with a mix of excitement and fear. Nathaniel didn't let go. He held me close, his forehead resting against mine. "I know, Evelyn," he murmured, his voice full of emotion. "But right now, all I can think about is being with you. And I know you feel it too. You're not the only one scared." I closed my eyes, fighting the conflict inside me. There was a part of me that wanted this, wanted him, but I knew the consequences. If we gave in, there would be no going back. We would both be changed forever. "I can't stop thinking about you," Nathaniel continued, his voice soft and vulnerable. "I haven't been able to for years. I tried to stay away, but every time I left, I couldn't forget. And now I can't pretend this doesn't matter." My heart pounded in my chest. I had to admit it, I felt the same way. But the fear of crossing the line, of stepping into forbidden territory, made my mind race with 1,000 doubts. Was this something I could truly handle? Could we live with the consequences? I don't know if I can do this, Nathaniel," I whispered, my hand still clutching his shirt, my body trembling with the weight of my emotions. His hands moved to my face, lifting my chin so I had no choice but to look into his eyes. "I don't want to run anymore, Evelyn. I've been running from this feeling for too long, but not tonight. Tonight, I'm not running from you." His words struck me deep into my soul. Maybe we couldn't control this, maybe we weren't supposed to, but in that moment I couldn't think of anything else but the intensity of what we were about to share. As Nathaniel's lips found mine again, every ounce of resistance I had left slipped away. The kiss was deep, raw, and full of unspoken promises. There was no turning back now. The world outside the room seemed to dissolve, and all that existed in that moment was the overwhelming desire between us. I felt his hands on my body, his touch both comforting and electrifying. Every part of me responded to him in ways I hadn't anticipated. He was not just the man who had once been Jonathan's stepson. He was now someone who had ignited a fire within me, a fire I had buried for so long. His kisses trailed down my neck, sending shivers across my skin, and for the first time in years, I felt alive in a way I couldn't explain. But even as I surrendered to the moment, doubt crept into the edges of my mind. I pulled away slightly, my breath ragged, my heart racing. "Nathaniel, what are we doing?" I asked, my voice shaky. "This can't be right." He looked at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of passion and understanding. "I know, Evelyn, but this is real. We can't keep pretending it's not." I took a step back, needing to put some space between us to clear my head. My hands were trembling, and my thoughts were a whirlwind. This wasn't just about desire. It was about everything we had both buried deep inside us for so long. The guilt, the shame, the love, the longing. It was all coming to the surface now, and it felt like I was losing control. "This isn't just a mistake," I whispered, more to myself than to him. "This is crossing a line we can't uncross." Nathaniel took a deep breath, his voice softer now. "I've spent years trying to fight this, trying to stay away from you. But I can't anymore. I can't keep running from what I feel." I looked at him, the intensity in his eyes pulling me in once more. Despite everything, I couldn't deny the truth in his words. There was a part of me that had been yearning for this, for him. But I also knew that if we crossed this line, it would change everything. There would be no going back. "I never wanted this to happen, but now that it's here," I said, my voice quiet, "I don't know if I can stop it. Or if I should." Nathaniel took a step forward, his hand reaching for mine. "We don't have to stop, Evelyn. Not unless you want to. But I'm not letting you go without telling you how I feel. And how I've always felt." His words struck me deeply, and for the first time I truly saw him beyond the stepson, beyond the years of restraint. I saw the man who had always been there, quietly watching, waiting for the moment when he could finally let go of the feelings he had buried. And as I looked at him, I realized that I had been waiting for the same thing. I closed the distance between us, my heart pounding, and I kissed him again. This time there was no hesitation. There was no fear, only the overwhelming need to connect, to be with him in a way I had never allowed myself to be before. The hours that followed were a blur of passion and emotion. We didn't speak much, but we didn't need to. The connection between us was undeniable, and every touch, every kiss, was an affirmation of everything we had both kept locked away for so long. As we lay together afterward, I felt an unfamiliar peace settle over me. The weight of the world, the guilt, the confusion, it had all melted away in those moments. And yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. There was still so much to figure out, so many questions we had to answer. What would this mean for us in the long run? Could we continue to live in the same world, knowing what we had shared? Nathaniel looked at me, his hand gently brushing my hair from my face. "Evelyn," he said softly, "I know this isn't easy, but I can't let this go. Not again. Not now." I nodded, my heart still racing, still processing everything that had happened. "I don't know what this means for us," I whispered, "but I know I can't forget it. I can't forget you." He smiled, his eyes filled with something I couldn't quite place. Hope, longing, maybe even fear. "Then let's not forget. Let's see where this takes us." As the night stretched on, I realized that everything had changed. My world, our world, had shifted in ways I hadn't anticipated. But in that moment, with Nathaniel beside me, I felt like anything was possible. If you've made it this far, I know this story has touched you in ways you might not expect. It's raw, emotional, and filled with the kind of passion that can't be ignored. But what happens next? Where do Nathaniel and Evelyn go from here? I'll be sharing more of their journey, and trust me, you won't want to miss a single moment. If you've enjoyed this story, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next part. Drop a comment below. How do you feel about the connection between Evelyn and Nathaniel? What do you think is going to happen next? Let's talk about it. Your support means the world to me, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts.